All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Breaking the Meta. This is basically a podcast where a couple of guys from the Philippines and our special guest girl will talk about League of Legends, mostly about the PH scene, so the pro gaming series, especially, which is the premier esports League of Legends league here in the Philippines. And we have our regulars here, of course, coach of Naga. Specs is here, and the support of Explicit Hardcore Gaming is here as well. That's Neep, and of course me, Amplifier, Shoutcaster, and Colorcaster for the PGS. And Kairu is a regular as well, but he won't. Well, he's here in spirit. He won't be saying anything because of, I think, wisdom tooth problems, so he'll just be listening in. And we have a special guest as well for today. You guys should welcome Riku. She's also a Shoutcaster for the PGS. And yeah, that's pretty much for introductions. And yeah, all right. So pretty much we'll get into. Yeah, everyone say hi first. Everyone say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. So we'll get in. So for the outline for this episode today. So if you guys haven't seen, we've had a pilot episode before. We had an episode 1 where we talked about our thoughts before PGS began, which began last weekend. And now we're gonna be talking about the games that have occurred already over the past weekend. We had 4 games already. Oh wait, no, not 4 games, but rather like week 1 and week 2. We had the first week already of PGS and the second week of PGS, yeah. And then after that, we'll just talk about initial impressions, about the team, and of course a little bit of discussion about the giant patch changes because Point 23 just came out recently as well. And then, yeah, that would be pretty much it. So PGS and a little bit about the patch. So let's get straight into PGS Week 1. That's where we had the battle between Imperium Protein Blue versus Explicit Hardcore Gaming. And that was 2-0 in favor of Imperium Protein Blue.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
Before we...
I wonder what happened there, man.
Yeah, me too, because you were, I remember, Neep, you were telling me before that you were saying, oh, dude, Amplifier, trust me, it's gonna be 2-0.
The
exact opposite.
That's not the first time I've said that.
Yeah, that's
like
true. That's
The overblown hype.
I think I said that like every single game of last split, and where'd we end up? 7th.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about that set. So that the games in the pro gaming series, for those who don't already know, it's a best of 2, and so IPT Blue and Explicit Hardcore Gaming had a best of 2. IPT Blue won both games, and yeah. So first we're gonna go over to specs. So the question I'm gonna ask you is what caused Explicit to lose both games? Because Neep was telling me that they thought they were, or at least his confident, ego side was telling me that they were gonna get both games, but it didn't happen. And yeah, so what happened there? How did IPT Blue win that, and what went wrong for Explicit?
I would go over this on a more, I'd say, logical pattern. I'd call out first the pick and ban. The pick and ban, I'd have to say that it was horrible. I'm sorry, Neep, but that pick and ban was just horrendous. I don't know why.
I think game 1 pick and ban was cancer, but game 2 I think it was a lot better.
Yeah, I'll show the guys right
now.
Yeah.
You can't just completely trash the pick and ban, dude. Game 2 we had a really decent.
No, I'm not discrediting your game 2, but your game 1 pick and ban.
Yeah, game 1
absolutely cancer, dude. You'd have to agree with me on that one.
Yeah, I think it was just the team wanting to go with their comfort picks and disregarding the actual team aspect of the game, where you had Icaros pick Riven, Knights play Oriana, and then Hall played his Vayne. So I think it's just like it's a new team. They're all new to the PGS.
The jitters.
Yeah, the jitters.
Are you saying the jitters? Alright, the jitters. I'd have to go with that real quick. I'd have to say the keys to both games, I'd have to say, is first one is Icaros.
Yeah.
The second one is Kema, or rather Avarisha. I'm sorry. As far as Icaros, I felt that his first game didn't really show his potential. I know he's good.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with that one. Like, he got really outplayed by Yux. It was hard. It was rather painful to watch, and I felt that the jitters that he had really translated. Like he was trying so hard to make Bawi, as putting it in your words. He was trying to
Yeah,
make Bawi so hard,
and I
and what
think
ended up? Yeah, go ahead.
no, cause like I'm not sure if you watched the qualifier tournament, right, for the programming series Celestial versus Explicit. He kind of did the same thing where Terry like walked all over him. So I'm not sure if this is going to continue. I really hope it doesn't continue and he manages to get his nerves during those high pressure games because it's a worrying trend, man. It's a worrying trend.
Yeah, and I thing is, I actually watched. That's actually the game that I watched the most out of all the pro gaming series, like the qualifier games. That's the one that I watched the most, and it really worries me now. Like I thought that was a one-time thing. Now Icaros is kind of bleeding out, and he's making the whole team bleed out. Because that was a key for the first and the second game. Like the second game came as gank. Would have been fine after the flash of Rebenga. He went crazy, like crazy hard, throwing away a double buff to the top laner. And as you know, the top lane is the worst lane to give a double buff. Like all five of us would agree that it's the worst lane to just give a double buff. And moving forward, what else should I call out on the week one's first games? I'd have to say bad macro play. I'm actually expecting a lot more macro play just because the Explicit has Neep on the team, which I feel is one of the best macro play supports around. So actually, it was showing there. He was doing a lot of good deep wards, but the team wasn't capitalizing on it. So I guess it comes with the bad shot calling as well, and just a lot of miscommunications because the team looked like they're confused. It looks like they're scared. It looks like they look like a headless chicken at a certain point of the game. So it felt really awkward to watch the games, and it translated with the margins of the kills and the gold and everything. I hope Explicit bounces back. I hope Neep really gives the rest of the team like the boost that they need, because that's what I've called out. If you remember, I
Yeah.
called out the macro play of XHG. Like I really want to see that from them because I feel they're not lacking in mechanics. Oh boy, no. Like I feel Average is good mechanically. I feel Icaros is good mechanically. Knights, I'm not too sure. Hall is good mechanically. So I feel they should be able to do more. If you know what I mean.
All right.
I'll agree with all of those points right there.
Yeah. So basically, it's the pick and ban was bad, bad macro play, and Icarus not really showing up. But we're expecting better macro from Explicit with Neep being there in the future. So now we go to Neep. What do you think
Yo.
was like the major problem there with? I mean, you obviously you being in the team, you would probably know like what was the biggest problem happening during the first two games that you had, and if you feel that was really well, I doubt you think it, but do you feel like that was your average performance, or was it
Oh,
mediocre?
yeah. Well, I definitely felt like we underperformed during those games, like everyone. Like compared to our scrim results and our past practices, that was like nothing like what we've been playing in the past. And I think nerves are a lot to blame. And at the same time, I just felt like I don't know. I don't want to say I didn't take the game seriously, but I wasn't there during those games. Like my shot calling was really bad. Uh, and yeah, like I blame myself over the game, but top lane not really having the best of it.
Like,
Alright, I'm all ears. What's up?
all right, I got a quick question because you mentioned your scrimmages doesn't really translate. Your performance in the scrimmages doesn't really translate into the game. Now, I have the question that begs to be asked is, what do you guys do in scrims? Because the thing is, a lot of teams
No,
here do
like,
not know
yeah,
what to
like-
do with scrims.
During the scrims, like the thing I'm comparing between scrims and now, like aside from the micro and mechanics aspect, the team play in general is just usually a lot more better in scrims. Like in scrims, we usually have really good objective control. Our vision control is a lot better, and it just wasn't there during those games.
Then that begs another question then. What was the quality of the scrim partners you were up against? I mean, at some point, because in the scrim,
Yeah,
the most you can get,
I'll admit the level of the scrims weren't as high as like you could possibly get, but you can still tell when there's something off with the games.
Mm.
Not. I didn't feel like we got outplayed. I feel like we outplayed ourselves, to be honest.
I would actually agree with that. Like I've seen that. So it actually is a question of how do teams here really do scrimmages? Like, what do you do in scrimmages?
Dude,
'Cause-
a lot of the people they scrim like to win, you know,
yeah,
like they try hard and shit, and then
Yeah.
they're all like, yeah, like Bowie, G,
Bowie
what.
then.
yeah, the
Galawan.
Bowie mechanics, Galawan. And
Oh.
you should know this, Neep, because you came under my system, right? You're under me for a good while. You should know how to scrim properly. So you should be sharing that to your new team.
I'll slowly integrate it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Because right now, I guess my standing in the team isn't as best as I'd like it to be.
All right, so I guess we
So
move
Riku-
forward. Oh wait,
Yeah,
go
let's-
ahead, Specs.
Riku, like, what do you think? What like the first,
Yo,
like the first week, like that first part of the first week?
Like, I think you're doing stats
I
as
mean the
well.
IPTV versus XAC.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually okay. We've always been talking about explicit, right? So let me talk about IPTB Yux. I mean, from the previous season, he wasn't actually under the radar. It's like he's the invisible member. I'm so sorry for the term,
Yeah.
but he's very overshadowed by the other members of IPTB. So it was really, really surprising, especially me. You expected a lot on Icaros, and then seeing that 1v1 matchup on those two games, it was really, well, not heartbreaking, but I was actually partly happy for Yux and then heartbroken for Icarus because, you know, a lot of people are expecting, and then Yux, nobody was actually expecting Yux to show up in the game.
Yeah, for those who
So-
don't know, Yux from last split did
Right?
not do, did not
The
do
best.
that well. Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially
Yeah,
for those who
right.
attended Rampage, who are watching this right now, you guys probably saw that Yux did not really perform. Well, let's just say that Icarus made him look pretty good at top lane. So I guess
Yeah.
that was a delight to see him work on non-tank champions like Fiora and Irelia. So
Irelia,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. Mm.
So after IPT Blue gets 2 wins against Explicit, they get 3 points, and then the next set is Infused and Naga. So a little bit of background: Infused didn't do so well last split either, and Naga almost got relegated, but they did fight their way back into the split. Obviously, looking much better now because they did 2-0 Infused in the previous weekend. So first, I'm gonna go to Riku. So Naga
Yo.
looked pretty good in the previous week, despite some slumps here and there. They definitely look
Yeah.
they definitely look good. So do you think their wins, or rather, did their wins look very convincing to you? Like, do you think they have the strength or whatever it takes to defeat, you know, the teams that people would expect to win, like Mineski
The
or
higher
Imperial Pro Team?
teams?
Yeah. Do you think that the wins that we just saw from Naga, does it give you the impression that they have what it takes to, you know, be on the same rank or even a higher rank with other teams like Mineski, Imperial Pro Team?
Yeah, I really think so. They can be at par. There's so much to work on actually. They've been taking, hey Specs. I mean, I saw the fights that they've been in. They've been taking unnecessary fights. They get picked off. Like they overstay their welcome sometimes, but still they get all the objectives that they need. They still manage to push down towers by the book. But then, yeah, there are so many things still to work on. They have so much potential from the Infused series. And I feel like they can fight at par with the Mineski, IPT, and IPTV teams. We'll just have to see more, you know, because I see the communication is there, the coordination. It's just that sometimes it gets a little messy.
Yeah. All right,
I'd
so
agree.
we're gonna jump to Specs then because you are the coach. So I'm gonna ask you, you know, as a coach of Naga, seeing the 2 games that just happened in the previous weekend, how you feel Naga, or how do you feel Naga is when relative to the other teams, like in terms of placing do you feel the same way as Riku does, where where you feel Naga could really do well against teams like Mineskin IPT, or do you feel they're even on a different league above them, or will they have a hard time? What do you think?
I'd have to say I'd agree with what she said. Like, I think they can play with the big boys. The problem is how well they can play with the big boys.
Mm.
Like, honestly, a lot of people are saying that the game was close because of the score. It was like 15-15. But to me, that is League of Legends. And I told the boys, it's not the score. And that is one of the things that we need to break in the C meta. It's not about the kills. If you've seen, it was like the rotations are crisp. I actually didn't blast them for the first game. I actually gave them a sour beating on the second game. Like,
yeah. Let's
They-
show the viewers.
mistake. I gave them a beating. Like, first, they were getting picked off because the thing was, Infuse was so bloodthirsty for getting the kills. They weren't noticing. Yeah, we're getting 3,000 gold killing Suzaku. Yeah, we're gonna get like 3,000, like 300 gold for killing like a badger. Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, you can take her turret. We'll get one guy, but you can take her turret. They didn't notice like, oh yeah, that's a turret. Oh, there's another. Whoop. Oh wait, we have no we have no turrets anymore. Oh wait, wow, we don't have dragon. So,
Yeah.
that was a problem, and that is why I feel teams are really not up to par with the international teams. I mean, the teams here, because they don't play like that. That's what we should see here, because that's how international teams play. Like, it would be an honor to kill Faker, but if Marin and Bang is taking everything from you, when you're trying to kill Faker 25 out of 26 times, what's gonna happen? You're still gonna lose.
Yeah.
So for the first game, I felt it was a good game of rotations. I felt they could have done better, like not getting caught out, Badger. But on the second game, this is the game that I actually hated.
Mm.
I know you all watch the highlights, you watch
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, of course.
but what do I always say when we do the talks? Like, what about this?
It doesn't matter if the score is 0-100 or 50-50, whatever. Like, actually, I think that's the wrong one. That's the wrong talk. Fuck.
It's remember the rotation. Like, what do we aim for? We just
No
always
rotations, overkills, no bloodthirstiness. And then game 2 was just like pure mechanical outplay. Like there were no rotations. It was all about the Galau one.
Yeah,
Well,
and
Like game 1 was more impressive than actually. I think if you look at game 1 and 2 for what they're worth, and like you combined it together, where game 1 is a display of Naga's rotational abilities, while game 2 is a display of their mechanics individually, and you combine that together, it looks super scary. Like they look like a really scary team.
yeah, and that's why I got mad, because I told them not to show the mechanics part. Specifically told them not to outplay, and I guess boys will be boys. Sometimes they forget. Like Big Lolo Specs gets, he gets mad. He's old. He's bitter. He doesn't want to see the mechanics. But yeah, I really hated that game. I'm sorry. I know it was the fun game, but I don't want to see them win with mechanics. I want them to win with rotation. So that game is just crazy, but I feel Infuse should learn from this game, because I don't think Infuse is like bad as a team. I just feel that they have a lot of things to work on, and it's a scary part if you think about it, because they got to the PGS and stayed in the PGS with that much chinks on their armor. Now they have a lot of work on, and if they do work on those and manage to fix those, they can be scary and they can be a competitor.
All right. So, but it's really great to see Naga doing much better than the previous split, because there was a lot left to be desired in the previous split, and seeing them fight their way back and then doing this great to the point that from being from having like, we weren't sure if Naga was gonna make it back into the PGS, and then all of a sudden they make it back in, and now they can play with the big boys, quote unquote, and I guess it's just
Yeah.
really great to see them bounce back. Hopefully, teams like Explicit and Infused will be able to bounce back in that same way. Now we're gonna move on
Oh
to
yeah.
No,
the
we're not gonna
second game,
bounce
dude.
back. We're gonna bounce high.
Mm.
All right,
Yeah,
dude.
that's
All
the
right.
spirit.
Whatever you say, man. I won't. I won't. We'll hold that thought. Yeah.
All
So we'll
right.
move on to week two. This one is another best of two. So the first one was between Empire X or acclaimed Empire X and Celestial. Empire X was in the previous split. For those who don't know, they were already there and then they stayed. Although they weren't exactly the highest in placing, I think they were like seventh or sixth, like that. I think sixth. And then Celestial is a new team along with Explicit to enter into the pro gaming series, and it was a 1-for-1, so they
Yeah.
each got one win. And I'm gonna go to you, Neep, for this one. So
All right.
in game two, if you look at the team composition in game two, Empire X brought out this this pretty like heavy AOE
Yeah.
comp. And I want to get your thoughts on the drafting for game two because I'm not sure, but looking at the composition of Celestial, it looked, I'm not sure. I wasn't very confident about their first game comp and
For
how
Celestial or for
for
Empire
Celestial
X?
because like looking at
Game one.
Empire X,
Wait, so are we looking at game two or game,
game
one?
game one, yeah.
Ah, okay.
Like, what can you say about the drafting of both teams and, like, especially for Celestial? Yeah.
Looking at the Celestial team comp, I feel like I actually don't have too many problems with the comp other than the Vayne pick is a bit questionable. Like, I feel like there's so many other picks that could have just suited their comp a lot better. Like, MF was open. Was MF banned? I don't
Oh,
think
I'm not
MF
sure.
was banned. MF was open during that
Yeah.
pick.
MF
and
was
ban.
open, yeah.
Like-
MF was open.
If you replace the Vayne with a Misfortune, then you've got a really good team comp. And the Corgi mid, like, I think they had a pretty solid team comp all around. Like, Shen's a really good pick in the meta. Mundo's probably the best jungler in the meta right now. And then Janna's just Janna.
Yeah. How about game
Yeah.
two?
Game
Their
two,
draft.
looking
Yeah.
at their
Let's
draft,
show it. There.
I really don't like the Ezreal pick. Like, again, I really don't like the choice in AD carries for the Celestial side. I felt like you could have gotten something with more sustained damage, something like maybe a Jinx or Tristana. I don't know. Like, anything besides an Ezreal would have been a lot better. And, yeah.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So, yeah. Those are the comps. And then, so, Riku, were you casting these sets of games?
Yep, I was casting. I
Yes.
think I casted game 2 to 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because when we look at the article, Empire X was apparently winning the early
Yeah,
parts
they
of the
were.
game, and then eventually, for some reason, Celestial ends up, bouncing back. So I
Yeah.
want to ask you how actually that happened, especially for those who are not watching or haven't watched this game. Like, how did that even happen? Like, how did they bounce back?
It was a mistake where it was, I think, pre-late game already. And then instead of taking towers, what Spec said earlier, rotations over kills, they wanted to kill the Vayne. They tower dove, but eventually Celestial managed to fight back and outplayed the tower dive, outplayed their mistake. And then after that, since the death timers are so long, they managed to get Baron for themselves from Celestial. And because of that, they just pushed, stormed through Empire's base, and they won the game. They didn't leave, as in they just kept pushing and sieging and used the Baron buff.
Wow, so pretty much Empire X just threw their lead.
Yeah, basically, they could have gone for Baron or just the tower, not kills, not
That's,
rotations. They wanted the kills.
Yeah, and I guess that's
Mhm.
that's something to look at because like we were talking before about, for example, Imperium Protein Blue and now Empire X, where you're not sure exactly how strong they are because they weren't exactly how do you call it? They didn't exactly look impressive because they didn't win because exactly they were really great, but it's
Yeah.
just their opponent making mistakes. So
Mistakes,
when
yeah.
you look at that, like, how do you feel then about Imperium Protein Blue and Empire X, like, in general? I don't know. Rather, yeah, actually, Empire X and Imperium Protein Blue, because even though they got wins for themselves, do you feel that, for example, they can also fight, or quote unquote play with the big boys like Mineski and IPT, with these wins, or was it just, you know?
Yeah, I think it's right now I'm not really sure. I'm still having doubts about Empire X if they can play with the big boys, because it was also Celestial making their early game mistakes. I mean, game one, that four-man push up top against Soraka and Tristana with no wave clear whatsoever. That was just so weird. And then Nar kept pushing down bot lane, Kaisu getting so much farm, pressuring down bot. They had to recall and like, no, let's scrap this first Rift Herald early strategy. It's not working at all.
Yeah. All right. So that was a 1-for-1 between Empire X and Celestial. At least they were able to each get a win. And then we moved to the game that a lot of people were excited about, which was IPT and Mineski. Obviously, these two, for those who don't know, they were the finalists of Rampage 2015, meaning they were the finalists of the previous split. And Mineski won the previous split as the champions, and then they face off again to have sort of like a sort of like a revenge match, or basically they met up they met up once again after a couple of months, and it's another 1-1. So both teams got a win each. Yeah, right. So they both got a win each. And yeah, so we look at this, and I'm gonna be jumping to Neep now. So Neep,
All right, what's up?
so for those who watch the games, we know that Wind is the new mid laner for Mineski. So the once ever present Yume has stepped down from his Mineski mid lane throne and gave room for Wind. And I want to ask you how you feel about his debut into the PGS. Like, what do you think about Wind as a mid laner, especially in regards to replacing Yume? Like, do you feel it was a healthy replacement? How does he look compared to the other, for example, stronger mid laners like Daigo, like Light, etc.? How do you feel about Wind as he debuted into
Alright,
PGS?
so for PH Dog, okay, definitely, like, the mechanics are there, as expected. Like, I think we talked about PH Dog in the last Breaking the Meta. But there's a lot, he had a lot of flaws. Like, he had so many flaws exposed in that game, and it shows, like, the team isn't really fully adjusted to him as that mid laner. Like, while Yume was a good mid laner, he wasn't really the flashiest, but he was really consistent in being that threat in the mid game, despite how far behind he got. Like, you could always count on him to somehow, like, farm up and, like, be a threat for that mid game and for that late game.
Yeah.
Game 1, we saw a very questionable Wind, if I recall correctly. I don't know why he picked Kassadin into that Yasuo.
Yeah,
I guess
I'm showing it to the viewers right now.
maybe it was
It's
like
a
the
pick and
solo
ban.
queue tendencies where he thought, yo, I'm a Yasuo main. This should be easy. I'm going to outplay the Yasuo with my superior mechanics, and that didn't really work out for him.
Yeah.
I think towards mid game he actually had a bit of use, but yeah, I like the synergy between Wind and Kulit isn't really there compared to the synergy between Yume and Kulit, for example. And then game 2, he played a pretty good Ezreal. Like, that was he had a bunch of highlights during that game. But I guess the biggest thing, I guess in terms of Wind, that's all I have to say.
No, so actually, how do you feel then about Wind in general compared to the other mid laners right now in the PGS? Like I was saying earlier, like Light from IPT or like Daigo, etc.
Mechanically, he's definitely up there. Like, probably top 4 for sure. In regards to how well he is in, like, for performing the role of what a mid laner needs to do and performing the role of what he needs to do for Mineski, I'm not really sure yet. I feel like we need to see a bit more games, as those 2 games aren't really indicative of anything yet.
All right. So now we move on to specs. I have a question for you this time. So we saw Mineski and IPT, and I want to ask you: do you think, all like in all objectivity, like do you think that Mineski and IPT have pretty high chances of making it to getting the final spots again? Like, do you think there's a high chance that the finals will end up becoming another revenge match between Mineski and IPT?
I feel there's always a strong chance that one out of two of those teams will get there.
Mm.
I'd say at this point, I still can say it's gonna be either or. I felt IPT showed up really well, considering how they played on the Rampage finals. I felt they played really well, as in contrast to that. I felt Mineski, on the other hand, I felt it's the ring rust plus you have one new guy. Of course,
Mm.
Yume was like the keystone of the of the Mineski organization before. He's been with them for the longest time. They've changed members a lot, but Yume remained the same at the mid lane. So the question now is, how good can Mineski become
Yeah.
in the next month or so? And how good can IPT become in the next month or so? Because you have a couple of teams on an analyst perspective, of course, not of course in my perspective as an analyst coach, having inside information, but from an outside analyst point of view, Naga is quickly catching up, and I'd say IPTB is actually catching up really good, especially how you explained. I felt the team is more well-rounded. Like, honestly, I didn't expect that level of play from you. Not disrespecting the guy or anything.
Yeah.
I felt he really showed up. Like, holy crap, this guy can wreck Ikaros. Like, holy crap.
Right?
Yeah, right? Like, I'm pretty sure all four of you would agree that, holy crap, where did that come
Yeah.
from?
I had the same reaction.
There you go. So, it's gonna be a hard thing to say if they're gonna make like both of them will. But as far as them making it on an international level, of course they'll be in the GPL. Winning from the GPL, I think it's like getting into the quarterfinals of the GPL. I feel it's a hard sell because if you've seen their games, they're supposed to be the first and the second team, but they're running the C meta so incredibly to the tune, in the sense that it's skills. I feel there's out of all eight games of the first and second week, there's only one game that is played how it's supposed to be on a competitive level, like on an international competitive level, and it's not even that good.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say, with no bias, it's the one with Naga, the first game of Naga. That's the only game that it should be the standard. Teams should play like that, but not better than that. Meaning, no one getting caught out, no one trolling on a corner and getting caught, no one being silly and dying for no good reason, or just doing silly stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel this extended laning phase should change, especially with the introduction of Rift Herald. Teams need to adapt and change. Games are shorter now. If we continue to do the C meta, nothing's gonna happen for us in the international. We're already so far behind. We're already like what? We're the bottom feeder of the bottom feeder region, and that feels awful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels awful. I'm not happy with it. I want to change it. And as you know, this podcast is actually part of the reason why this was
Yes.
made. We want to reach out to the people. We want to change everything, and if we need to change the C meta.
Yes.
All right, so
Yeah.
they're basically, so we'll just go through have a run through of that. So PGS week 1, that was IPTB 2-0ing XHG, and then Naga getting 2 wins of their own against Infused. Then for week 2, Empire X and Celestial each get a win, and then IPT and Mineski each get a win. So we have no news yet about what's gonna happen in the Garena Premier League, which is basically that bridge between the Southeast Asian regions and international wildcard slot, almost pretty much. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see if IPT and Mineski, should they represent. Well, we're not sure about that yet though, because we don't have news about GPL, but we'll see, how they attempt to catch up to the other regions, especially the ones that represented, like for example Bangkok Titans, because when you look at Bangkok Titans and then you look at like SKT, obviously there's a difference. And then you realize that Bangkok Titans actually kind of destroyed, could destroy IPT and Mineski. So there's really, like Specs said, there's a lot for us to catch up on. But hopefully, with we try to raise the standard, not just for the teams but even for the viewers, and this podcast is a part of that. So we hope that things level up, in a general scale. So looking at initial impressions, because all of the teams have played so far, I'm gonna show the viewers right now how we ranked all of the teams coming before the split
Dude,
began.
you guys are explicit haters, bro.
Oh,
That's all I
I'm
have
gonna
to
bring it
say.
up
I'm
now.
sorry, Neep.
Wait, I'll bring it up right now. All right.
Dude, like,
so
Rip
ranking.
XHG.
There
No,
you go.
what?
All right, so before, if you guys check our pilot episode, this is the way we ranked all of the teams. I'm showing it to you guys right now, and I'm gonna ask each of you right now. We'll start from Riku, Neep, and Specs. Like, would you guys change anything right now? Seeing the games that have just occurred, would you guys change your ranking on this Excel file right now, or would it just pretty much be the same? You first, Ricky. Would you change anything here?
I'm sorry. I think I would. I think I would. I
Alright.
think I would rank Empire X a little higher.
Over explicit? Wow, alright, I'm out. Bye, guys.
It's only based from week 1 and 2.
Bye, guys.
So that might change. That might change. Okay.
Dude,
All right.
Rip.
So that would be.
We'll
You're
just
saying
have
that
to 2-0
Empire X would take
Mineski.
6th place, and then explicit would fall to 7. Is that what you're saying, Ricky?
Based on week 1 and 2, we don't
Okay,
know that
okay.
yet. Yeah. And
Okay.
I'm suddenly a fan of Kaisu. Yeah,
Okay.
they're top
Oh, yeah.
player.
Okay.
Mm.
No bias or anything, Neep. We're not trying to hurt you on purpose here.
Yeah, I
Alright,
love you,
so-
Max. I love you.
Your turn, Neep. Would you change any of your
offset
ranking?
the explicit drop, I'd put explicit over Naga, and then I'd probably put IPT Blue over Celestial. So, yeah.
I see. Okay,
So it's
so
like
a bit more respect
explicit
for
third-
IPT then.
explicit third. No, it's more like less respect for Celestial. I wasn't impressed by their games.
I see.
Like, they were really sloppy against Empire X. And
Okay.
then the explicit change is to just offset the change that Riku made, so the average stays the same for explicit.
All right. How about you, Specs? Did you change anything here?
I'd like to say I'm vindicated with the IPTB rating that I gave.
All right.
Thank you, guys. So, but yeah, I will change to ranks. I would change. Oh, actually, 3. It should be explicit, Empire's X, and Celestial. I would have to say Celestial broke my heart. I really expected it to be a clean 2-0, but props, or should I say, mad props to AEX for actually
I
showing
was
up.
the only one that predicted 1-1
Yeah.
X Celestial.
Sad that actually happened, but wow, this guy showed up. They're a contender. Now I have to put on the 7th spot. That would be explicit. I'm
Wait,
sorry.
can you increase Naga on my ranking to 2nd now?
Oh,
You really just need to offset everything.
But I'm really sorry, Nee. But what I saw in that game,
Yeah, that was
really,
cancer, dude. It's alright.
it was cancer. I mean, I gotta be objective here, but I'd have to say on a close 6th and 7th is AEX and Celestial. It's crazy. I can't put one over the other because the thing is, AEX was winning on the charts, on the stats for both games, but they lost the first game. So that you can't even chalk it up to experience because they are much more experienced in PGS than Celestial. But they still won the second game convincingly. So yeah, it's a close 6th and 7th. I'd have to say Empire's X should be 6th and Celestial should be 7th. I mean, sorry, Empire's X should be 5th and Celestial should be 6th.
Alright, I'm gonna approach this from a GS Neep standpoint now.
Celestial
My,
should be
dude, I don't know if XHG Neep can take this,
All right, so there's the rankings there. We changed it up a bit. We'll see how this one evolves overall, but yeah, so there's a disappointing Celestial and explicit. Maybe they can bounce back, but we'll see in the future weeks to come. We'll hide that ranking now and see how it evolves in the future. So we're gonna move on now from PGS and take a little bit of a look, before we end this podcast, about the patch 5.22 and 5.23. So a lot of changes, and some of us, had a hard time adopting. In fact, even in solo queue, people are still confused. Still banning things like Darius or whatever. So a lot of trauma from the world's patch, etc. And now we're moving into a much different, League of Legends world. And so I'm gonna be asking you guys about a couple of things. Like for example, we'll go to Riku first. So
Cool.
I wanted to ask you just general feel on 5.22. Like how does it feel compared, for example, to the previous patches? Like for example, the Worlds patch. How different does League feel now compared to before? Like, do you think it changed dramatically, or does it still feel pretty similar? How do you feel?
I at first it felt like a new game, of course, because it's season 6. It's like the same feeling I got when the new smites were introduced last time,
Yeah.
or the new support items. But this time it's different. There's the Rift Herald, there's the ADC changes, AP
Yeah.
nerfs, AP item nerfs rather, and the new support upgrades. So it was so overwhelming, and I didn't know which first to concentrate on. So I felt like it was exciting and confusing at the same time.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure a lot of people can relate with you on that one, even myself, man. And gosh, the bans on solo queue were horrendous. Yeah. So we'll go to Neep and Specs now. I want to ask you guys, we'll start with Neep first and then go to Specs. So for you guys, what do you think stands out the most from patch 5.22 and 5.22 and 23? Like for you guys, what do you think changed League the most dramatically, and what do you think changed the metagame the most out of all of the changes in 0.22 and 23? So Neep, let's start with you. What do you think?
I'd say the biggest things are, well, Rift Herald is by far the biggest change. Then the second
Yeah.
biggest change would be the changes to towers. Yeah, probably that.
All right. So how about you, Specs? What do you think are the biggest changes? Both patches, 22, 23.
5.22, the most obvious one is obviously Rift Herald. The
Yeah.
game changed so much because of that. Because now it's not like a 30, 70, or 70% of the game happens at the bottom side. It doesn't happen anymore because
Yeah.
there's an actual trade that goes on. It's more
yeah.
like 50-50 now, if not more. So for the 5.23, obviously
It's the minions.
Yeah.
Ilawi, but
yeah.
nah, Ilawi, but I'd have to say the Quinn changes. I feel there is something in her. There is
But-
something in her.
Wouldn't you say that the minion changes to the game are really huge? And now further,
It is.
like, I don't know, I think that's the biggest change. Like, it further increases the snowballing in the game. It messes up the dynamics of pushing and freezing the lanes. I'd have to say that's the biggest change too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I even
but
saw a tweet from
still-
Monty talking about how the changes on minions, he was really disappointed because it really, well, let's just say it removes a lot of, or changes a lot of things in terms of the macro play, especially with like wave management and everything, because in a way, you have to choose. Like, if you get a lead, whether in terms of levels or towers, it's either you must push or you let the wave push and then let the other team, get the gold from the minions. So, like, Specs, what do you think about, for example, about the minion changes, especially, in terms of macro play? How does it change things?
Oh, it changes everything. But I feel we're looking at it too prematurely. Like, when did this roll out? Like yesterday?
Yeah.
Or like the other day?
Yeah.
I feel that there are things to be looked at. I feel that we're judging it too early. Like how big, like, of course it will change. Like, it doesn't do the snowballing now. It's not as rough as it is to the losing team. But still, we gotta look at this objectively, and there's still things to work on, and we can still see some things. Like, I'm pretty sure some genius right there will figure something out in regards to how to work this minion waves right now. But for now, yeah, this is a really big change. I feel teams should look at this. But I said Quinn for a reason, not because I feel it's too premature. That's all I'd have to say. I still haven't done a complete testing on how the minions actually interact, like how macro play is affected, or how much macro play is affected. But yeah, it's still early. We still have time to adapt, and that's all I'd say.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is the 5.23 minion change already implemented? Because it says in the patch notes, even though
Actually,
5.23 is here, it's not going to be turned on immediately. Are they
Then-
testing the, psych thing
Does it say
playing the
that?
mind games.
Let's check minion.
Important note. Oh wait, I'm looking at the EU. I'm so sorry. I wonder if it's the same for PH.
Oh yeah, it says the same thing
I'm
here, but
guessing
I'm
it's
not sure if
not.
it's been
Yeah,
rolled out.
they haven't
Probably
been rolled out.
is. Oh, it hasn't.
I guess like if you had to
Alright.
look at it, like as it stands right now, aside from the minion changes, the death timers have been really noticeable.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
I've been playing normal games and you know I spend a lot of time browsing Reddit now while I play the game. Like the timers are really long now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it is.
For those,
25
yeah.
minute games.
For those
you
who
got
don't
like
know, the
30.
change death timers are longer in the early game, but shorter late game now. So that
Yeah.
does change
Yeah.
things quite a bit. Also, the global home guard starting at 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20
It's
minutes.
a
Everyone
nice
gets a home
change,
guard
but I don't
buff.
think
Oh
it's
yeah.
that noticeable. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting though.
Well, it gives you more options for your
'cause,
boots.
Yeah, now
That's what I
people
like.
That's
actually
nice.
buy other enchants now.
Enchantments,
Yeah.
yes. Finally.
Yeah,
Other
then-
than distortion, yeah.
Yeah, then turret health has been
Distortion,
increased
mhm.
as well for outer and inner. And then there, the
Yeah.
minion pushing. So a lot of changes, and yeah, I guess it's a bit premature right now to make judgments about the changes, but you know, since it technically just rolled out like yesterday, so we'll all
Yeah.
get into testing it out and stuff, and hopefully we'll be able to come up with certain proper judgments about the patch, as the weeks roll along. Actually, we're pretty much almost done here. I guess we'll just go over to some last thoughts from you guys. I mean, it's been an exciting first 2 weeks, and I think TNC finals will be coming up this weekend, which should be another exciting event, for League of Legends players. And then on December 5, PGS would resume for its the next other 2 weeks. So, I mean, going into last thoughts. So, Riku first, like any last thoughts that you want to share with our viewers?
I just wish I want more quality games. I want less stompy ones. I want close fights, and I'm expecting to see more of course, Explicit and Celestial having a better play and sexier team fights from Naga, and then of course Empire X. I'm a fan of Empire X since last split. So yeah.
Wow.
All right, so a lot of hopes coming from Riku. How about you, Neep, whose webcam I think just disappeared right now?
No, I turned it back on, man. What are you talking
Okay,
about?
okay. So, any last thoughts, Neep?
Dude, people don't know the meta for 5.2223 yet. Like in PGS, like they still don't know what to pick and ban. It's giving me, well, I can't blame them, but I hope they learn fast.
Cancer. Cancer.
Oh, I was gonna
Cancer?
say it's giving me like an
HIV.
autism.
Ebola?
Autism.
Autism. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds fair.
All right, Specs.
Down
How about
syndrome?
you? Any last thoughts, Specs?
Should I make it a long, drawn out one, or should I make it a quick one?
A super long one, dude. The longest you can.
All right. So, I'd say in the first 2 weeks, there is a noticeable change in how things are, as in contrast to the last split. Like the strength of the first 4 teams is closer now, as in contrast to before, and the strength of the lower 4 teams are actually closer now. So I feel like there's a big divide. The first 4 teams and the last 4 teams. If you've noticed how, I'm sorry, Neep, XAG played,
Dude,
how
we're just sandbagging. We got this next game. December,
All right,
December
all
6th,
right.
6 p.m. Mark your calendars, guys.
Man.
Explicit
All right,
versus
all right.
Mineski. We'll show you the true pride of the North, bro.
Yeah.
The Wolves in Baguio. Yeah.
well, the fingers, they send their regards. So,
Yeah.
um,
Oh, I got
that's-
that. Dude, I got that.
but that's the first part that I'd like to highlight. The second part is, I really want to see an upgrade from how the teams played. Really, seeing the same things, all mechanics. I'm starting to really get sad. I mean, I don't question how good these players are. I really feel they are already on an international scale in terms of mechanics. Again, just mechanics, they're really good. I feel Wind can compete internationally. I feel that Hate, of course, can play internationally. I feel Colette can actually go internationally in terms of jungling.
You think I can?
Kaisu, I think, can go. Neep, It's neep. There's like a verb for it, neeping. When you die for no reason while warding, that's
Hey,
called a
dude, your
neep.
support was the one that did that more than me, man. Like, I don't know, dude. Last week,
Uh,
we should be
uh,
calling that the Badger. Oh no, he
uh,
changed his name to Badger, right?
but
Dude, like, I didn't do that, dude. I didn't do that. I didn't do that
but
during last week. I
don't
didn't.
deflect it.
No, last week I didn't do those dumb deaths, man.
You're still deflecting, but
I'm
yeah,
not
going back to
deflecting. It's a truth. It's a truth.
all right. Going back to original point, I feel that we're all like we have good players mechanically. I just wish they would upgrade in terms of macro play because that's the thing that people watch for in competitive games. If I wanted to see a lot of highlight plays in like four-man Yasuo knockups, I wouldn't look into a competitive game. You know what I would check? I'll check highlights on YouTube. I'd still get the same kick, and I don't have to watch a 30-minute game. Saves me time, saves me energy. But when I see sexy rotations like, oh yeah, four people are trying to chase one guy at top while their dragon mid turret and bot turret are getting taken, yeah, that's sexy. Yep, I'd bury that in a heartbeat. So yeah, I wish the teams would research more for like the meta because I still feel that the Soraka pick is cancer, but I feel the Soraka ban is cancer. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, Cairo, I said it. Yeah, there you go. I said it. But there's a lot of power picks hidden right now, and I would say like more than half of them are hidden. No one picked them. So yeah, surprise. You might see a new weird pick from Naga. It's not really weird, but it's a power pick. You just might.
I look forward to that.
What role is it for? Can you give me a hint?
Hint us.
It might either be a support or a top laner.
Support or top? Holy shit!
Interesting.
What could this be?
Yeah.
Yo, this the legendary Teemo flex.
Maybe we're gonna see an ADC Teemo. Yep.
Yeah. All right, Kairu. Any last thoughts? No. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Kairu. All right. So that's pretty much our last thoughts, guys. And yeah, I mean, thank you for watching with us. I mean, this is the second episode. Again, if you guys want to check the pilot episode, just check on the description below as well. If you guys want to check the site where this is going to be uploaded and for future episodes reference as well. If you guys want to check our Facebook pages or follow us on Twitter as well, check on below as well. And yeah, look out for TNC finals this weekend. Look out for PGS that's coming within 2 weeks. I think December 5 and 6 will be the next schedule for PGS. Watch out for Neep, the support of Explicit. He'll be playing, and of course Naga's Specs team, Naga, will be playing as well. And then watch out for me and Riku, who will be shoutcasting as well for those games. And again, thank you very much for joining us. Again, this has been Amplifire, Riku, who are both shoutcasters for the PGS, Explicit Hardcore Gaming Neep, who is the support, Kairu, who is a nobody, actually he's Udir, who can't speak right now, and Specs, of course, the coach of Naga. And yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll see you for episode 3 of Breaking the Meta. See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye
Bye guys.